The Kevin Durant trade is coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And this time, it feels different. Not because he's switching teams again, but because things have changed. He's not as valuable in trades as he used to be, and NBA front offices know it. Let's start with what we know. The Phoenix Suns are already in active trade talks, and insiders say they've spoken with multiple teams. The smoke is real, and it's building fast. But the one team that keeps coming up again and again is the Houston Rockets. And once you break it down, it actually makes a lot of sense. Houston owns a ton of Phoenix's picks, including this year's 10th overall, which, by the way, originally belonged to the Suns. If Phoenix wants to reset and get their future back, Houston's the one team that can help them do that in one clean move. And for Houston, KD might be exactly what they're missing. They've got young talent, depth, and assets. What they don't have is a proven scorer, a closer, a leader who's done it all. Durant fits that mold perfectly. Yes, he's older. Yes, he's expensive. But if you want to jump from a rebuilding team to a playoff contender overnight, you make this move. Now let's talk numbers, because that's where things get tricky. Durant's contract is massive, $54.7 million next season. And because of the new second apron rules, the Suns can only send one player out in the deal. That means any trade has to match Durant's salary nearly dollar for dollar. For Houston, the cleanest match would be a package centered around Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks. Combined, their contracts come very close to that $54.7 million number. From a basketball standpoint, this makes sense too. Green gets a fresh start in Phoenix with more room to grow, and the Suns get back a high-upside guard plus a strong defender in Brooks. Add the 10th pick in this year's draft, and you've got a pretty compelling offer on the table. But here's the catch. Houston knows the leverage is on their side. KD's value isn't what it was 2 years ago. Back then, Phoenix gave up a king's ransom to get him from Brooklyn. Now, the Suns are realizing they won't get anywhere close to that kind of haul. Durant's 35th. He's on a one-year deal unless he signs an extension. And if teams don't get that commitment from him, they're not going to offer the moon. That's just the reality. So Houston's playing it smart. They're waiting. They're watching. They know Phoenix needs to make this trade more than they do. If KD doesn't want to be there, and if the Suns want their picks back, the Rockets are the only team with the leverage to make that happen on their terms. But what if Houston decides not to pull the trigger? What if they just walk away? That's where the Spurs come in. Reports say Durant and his camp are quietly eyeing San Antonio as a potential landing spot. And honestly, who wouldn't want to play with Victor Wembanyama? The Spurs have the foundation. They've got Wemby, they've got cap flexibility, and they've got a war chest of picks. Not to mention some creative trade paths that don't involve touching their young core. Let's say they put together a deal built around salary fillers like Keldon Johnson and Harrison Barnes, plus a bunch of picks they've hoarded from Atlanta and Sacramento. That gets you to KD's number, at least on paper. And if Phoenix is truly desperate to get something back without gutting San Antonio's future, that might be enough to get the conversation started. But again, KD is still KD. Even at 35, even on an expiring contract, he's one of the greatest scorers the game has ever seen. And the Suns know it. They don't want to just give him away. The problem is, they don't really have a choice. If Durant wants out, and everything points to that being the case, they either find a deal this offseason or risk letting him walk for nothing in 2026. And this is where things get really interesting. Because if Durant does make it clear that he prefers San Antonio, that shifts the power dynamic instantly. Now it's no longer just about the best offer, it's about where KD wants to go. And we've seen this before. Superstars forcing their way to specific teams. Durant's no stranger to that game. But would the Spurs give up anyone like Jeremy Sochan or Stephon Castle in a deal for KD? That's the line they don't want to cross. They'd rather part with non-core guys and protected picks. But if Durant applies pressure, and if the Suns feel boxed in, we might see San Antonio climb higher in the race. Still, there's one wild card left in this conversation, and it's one nobody was expecting just a few months ago: the Miami Heat. They've already made noise this offseason by keeping their core intact and quietly surveying the trade market. But now, rumblings are growing louder that the Heat could make a serious run through a trade. One that could involve a player like Tyler Herro or even Terry Rozier, depending on how things shake out. A Kevin Durant trade to Miami isn't just fantasy talk. Salary-wise, a package centered around Herro and Duncan Robinson actually works. Herro brings Phoenix a younger shot creator who fits alongside Booker and Beal, especially with his off-ball shooting. And for Miami, it's a way to reset and go all in. They've seen what their current roster ceiling is. Durant brings playoff experience, scoring versatility, and star power, things the Heat always bet on in their finals or bust culture. There's also the Rozier scenario. Terry Rozier earns less than KD, so matching salaries gets harder. You'd need to throw in Kyle Lowry or another contract. Miami could make it work, but then they're cutting into rotation depth, and they're already close to the second apron. On top of that, if Phoenix is going to move KD, a return of shooters and a mid-first isn't enough. Not unless they're desperate. So while the Heat make headlines, the value just doesn't add up unless Herro is involved. Otherwise, it's likely a non-starter. But there's another name being whispered: Atlanta. The Hawks are looking for a splash, and if KD wants a softer Eastern Conference path, Atlanta might appeal. Pairing him with Trae Young could give them enough firepower to contend in a weakened East. The real issue is salary matching. Atlanta would have to give up players like Jalen Johnson or Onyeka Okongwu to make it work. That's a tough pill to swallow. Johnson in particular has huge upside, and they're not eager to cash that in for an aging KD on a short deal. Unless Durant commits beyond 2026, Atlanta probably walks. So it circles back to two teams: Houston and San Antonio. Houston can give Phoenix the cleanest package: Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the 10th pick. If needed, they could throw in a 2027 first and still be okay. The Suns get their picks back and some talent, Houston gets a star, and everyone wins. But San Antonio has the KD factor. He reportedly wants to go there. That alone gives them leverage. If Durant applies pressure, Phoenix has to listen. The Spurs have picks, cap space, and a rising star in Victor Wembanyama. But their front office isn't eager to include Castle or Sochan in a deal. They'd rather send out contracts like Keldon Johnson and a pile of draft picks. It really comes down to how badly Phoenix wants to get something done. If Durant makes it clear he prefers the Spurs, the Rockets might hold off. And if the Suns don't get a better offer, they might take less just to move on. So we're watching a chess match unfold. Phoenix holds a valuable piece, but time isn't on their side. KD's not sticking around long term. If they don't trade him now, they risk losing him for nothing. Every team involved knows this, and that's why the market's heating up fast. This trade is coming. Whether it's Houston with the best offer or San Antonio with the player preference, one way or another, Kevin Durant's next chapter is about to begin. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next in this wild KD saga.